God, I just want a dad for mommy. She's really tired. You ever hear a prayer so raw, so pure, that it cuts straight through all the noise? That's what happened to me that Christmas Eve, sitting way in the back of a little country church, just trying to keep it together. The choir was singing, candles flickering, and then bam, this tiny voice breaks through, stops the whole universe cold. And I'm telling you, it wasn't the sermon that moved me. It was her. There she was, kneeling up front. Couldn't have been more than 4, with this wild mop of blonde hair catching every candlelight flicker, cheeks flushed, red dress trailing on the floor, one boot older than the other. Little hands pressed tight, eyes squeezed shut, but her voice didn't shake. Please, God, just a dad. Not for me, for mommy. She cries when she thinks I'm asleep. Man, you try not to feel that. Next to her sat a woman, her mother, clearly maybe 30, honey blonde hair tied back in a rush, her whole posture caved in by tiredness but not defeat. She placed her hand gentle as can be on the girl's back, and I don't know why, but I felt something move inside me, something I'd shoved down a long time ago. I was there hiding from my own grief, honestly. My mother had passed just 2 months back, and Christmas had become this ghost I was chasing, hoping for peace I didn't really believe in. That night was her favorite. Always said the best miracles never shout, they just slip in while you're busy breathing. I watched as the woman gathered her daughter, the little girl still clutching a crumpled drawing, and together they slipped out before the final hymn, disappearing into a swirl of snow. I didn't move. I just watched them through stained glass, flakes catching in the lamplight, the mother smiling like she forgot how. They vanished, hand in hand, and I stayed in my seat, feeling smaller than I'd felt in years. It wasn't until the last candle was out, the last parishioner gone, that the pastor noticed me. You all right, son? He asked. I shrugged, then blurted, Do you know the woman with the little girl? He told me her name was Grace, and her daughter Ellie. Lovely people. Life hasn't been gentle, but she's proud. Never asks for help. And I just nodded, standing outside in the hush as snow blanketed the street. I never thought I'd see them again, but her voice kept echoing, that wish so naked. It made every problem I'd ever whined about seem petty. Back in Manhattan, the city's shine didn't warm me up any. My apartment felt empty, colder. I kept hearing her, God, I just want a dad for mommy. Curiosity isn't even the word for it. I needed to know they were okay. With a little help from an old friend and local outreach, I learned where Grace lived. Rundown place, broken mailboxes, faded paint. She worked any job she could. Cleaning, dishwashing, passing out flyers, anything to keep Ellie fed. Her husband had died in a car crash 3 years back, and since then, it was just survival. No complaints, no requests, just a mother fighting for her kid. I don't know what got into me, but I started. Well, I guess you'd call it meddling, but quiet. Sent a contractor to fix the worst of the roof leaks. Groceries delivered, fresh fruit, a warm blanket, no name attached. On New Year's Eve, I left daisies and a bottle of milk on their doormat, a little card reading, Someone up there cares for you. Didn't wait around. But the next morning, I watched from across the street as Grace found the gifts. Ellie danced with her milk like it was Christmas morning all over again. Grace read the note, eyes puzzled, but her step lighter. I just sat in my car, feeling, I don't know, present, maybe for the first time since Mom died. Next came cookies for Ellie, and again I made sure not to be seen. But that kid, she believed with her whole heart. Mommy, I think God sent us an angel. And Grace, for once, didn't argue. It was a small thing, but it made the world look a little less cold. Then, one bitter morning, I caught sight of Grace again, helping an old man who'd slipped on the ice, refusing his money, just making sure he stayed warm. Later, reading to a neighbor's boy while his mother hustled through a double shift. Nobody noticed her, but I did. The way she kept showing up for everyone, even with so little left in her own tank. I saw my mother in her. That kind of kindness, it's rare. You know, it hit me. Maybe I was drawn to her for more than just pity or a sense of duty. Maybe I needed her in my life. When our paths finally crossed again, at a gas station of all places, she looked up, tired but still fierce. Cold morning, huh? I offered, and for the first time, she laughed, a real, honest-to-God laugh that made her seem 10 years younger. Colder than I expected, she said, and suddenly the world felt a little warmer. A week later, I ran into them at the grocery store. "Mr. Christmas," Ellie shouted, and I guess that was my cue. I helped carry their bags, got to hear about Ellie's stuffed bear and the world's best pancakes. It felt right, but life doesn't hand you happy endings in a neat box. Grace worked herself into collapse, ended up in the hospital, bill piling up, insurance useless. I paid it off anonymously. When she found out, thanks to a nosy coworker and a glossy magazine photo, she realized who I was. Not just the guy at the gas station, but Owen Blake, CEO, the man with too much money and too many secrets. She confronted me in the snow, hurt and furious. "You think I'm some charity case?" she snapped. "You watch me struggle, then threw money at me like some rescue project." I tried to explain, it's not pity. It's respect. You deserve better. You deserve rest. She wasn't ready to hear it, not all the way. She needed to believe she could make it alone. And maybe she could have. But sometimes, the strongest people still need a hand. Ellie, wise beyond her years, interrupted us. "Are you mad at Mommy?" she asked, and in that moment, all the tension just evaporated. "No, sweetheart," I said, "I'm not mad at Mommy. I just want to help." Ellie believed me. Grace, maybe not yet. But something shifted. Weeks passed. Grace let me in, a little at a time. I brought Ellie a lavender scarf, and she called me Daddy without hesitation. Grace froze, scared to let herself hope, but little by little, her guard dropped. We laughed more, shared dinners, built snowmen, and watched sunsets. I repaired Mr. Buttons, Ellie's bear, not because he needed it, but because she did. One night, when Ellie spiked a fever, I stayed by her side, cooling her brow, whispering comfort until she drifted back to sleep, her tiny hand clutching mine. Grace saw it all, saw that I was there for both of them, not just for charity, but for love. For the first time, she let herself believe it, and then came the day I'll never forget. The church was empty except for us. Grace stepped in, suspicious, Ellie tugging her forward. On the pew, a single bouquet of lilies, the same spot where a prayer had changed everything. I knelt in front of Ellie, told her she'd given me more than I ever thought possible. "May I be your dad?" I asked, heart in my throat. "Yes. Yes. 1,000 yes," she squealed. I turned to Grace, pulled out a ring, not fancy, just true. "May I be your home?" I whispered, and for a second, the world held its breath. "Yes," she cried, and we held each other as the bells rang out, the snow swirling outside, and I knew, I really knew, what a miracle looked like. Now our house smells like cinnamon and pine. Laughter and music fill the rooms. Ellie's become this unstoppable little ball of sunshine, Mr. Button's always at her side. Grace has laughter in her eyes again. We even started a charity, Angel of Christmas, to help other single mothers find their own miracles. Because one whispered prayer started everything. So here's my question for you. Do you believe in second chances? In quiet miracles? In kindness that circles back around? Because I do. Not because I heard a sermon or read it in a book, but because one little girl was brave enough to ask for the impossible, and her mother was strong enough to accept love when it showed up at her door. If you think that's what the world needs. If you've ever been changed by someone else's kindness, or you've changed someone's life just by showing up, drop a comment, share your story, argue about what's right or wrong, but don't ever stop believing in small miracles. That's how families are born. That's how hearts heal. And that's how the world gets a little bit brighter, one act of grace at a time.